All right, so there are two guys kind of under attack right now in the Twitter verse. Let's kick it off with Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen. He's been on the show a few times.
What happened?
Yeah, Caitlin's taking pictures with Seth Rogen, like when he was in here, and he I guess he came in when Caitlin worked at the Coffee Bean.
Oh my God, that's Caitlin?
I didn't know it was possible for Caitlin to look younger.
And prettier.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, anyway, Seth.
She's gorgeous.
She's a vision.
I love that picture. So Seth was under attack over the weekend because what happened was a YouTuber named Casey Neistat tweeted last week, "So our cars got robbed this morning, but tremendous appreciation and gratitude to the hardworking officers at the LAPD who not only arrested the motherfucker, but they got all of our stolen goods back." And everybody was just talking about like, "Oh man, yeah, that's terrible."
Hold on. How did that happen?
That's rare.
Yeah.
Did
Say there was a special needs child in the back seat?
Like, do you think the cop had one of his computers in the car too? Like, I feel like that's the only motivation.
I'm thinking, okay, one explanation will snap things into focus. I'm thinking outskirts of LA, like Woodland Hills, or someplace where the cops are a little less encumbered.
Doesn't feel, Hollywood to me.
No.
But anyway.
I know, and it's sad that that's our response to when cops do that. Like, how?
Yeah.
How in the world?
him?
Northridge.
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, people were kind of responding how all these smash and grabs are going now, reaching Southern California from like the Bay Area where it's very prominent. And then Seth decided to chime in because everyone's talking about living in LA and now people are just getting their cars broken into. And Seth replies, "Dude, I've lived here for over 20 years. You're nuts. It's lovely here. Don't leave anything valuable in your car. It's called living in a big city."
Right. But here's where I was thinking about this the other day. It's scary territory. You leave your backpack on your driver's seat, you got to expect to get your window kicked in.
Yeah.
It's like we're getting into the territory of you leave your picnic basket out and the bears are going to take it. It's your fault for taking food to the wilderness. It's like, are we thinking of these people as animals now?
Yeah.
Like, because we've now shifted the onus from the perp to the hiker, to the camper. Very fucking dangerous. There's this fucked up reverse engineering that's going on right now, which is if the math scores are too low, then we get rid of the math test, or we can jigger the way we interpret the math test. I mean, that's not how you run a society.
Right.
It can't be our fault for having shit that we own that we leave in our car.
Stuff's not wrong. You should expect to have stuff stolen, but that's a sad commentary.
Yeah.
Well,
also, you sounded like one of the speakers at Take Back the Night.
That's right.
Same thing.
That's right. Where's my rape whistle?
That's right.
Well, then Seth added on to his tweet. "Look, you can be mad, but I guess I don't personally view my car as an extension of myself. And I've never really felt violated any of the 15 or so times my car was broken into."
Well, that's a rich guy.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but, and by the way, is it 15 or so? Like, I'd put bars over the fucking windows when we got to number 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't still live here if it was
But
15.
I
didn't know all that.
Maybe a little hyperbole. But here's also the thing, and I don't think people really realize this. Like, when I worked construction, I drove a Zuzu Trooper. I parked across the street from this gym I was working at, and they stole my tools. When you're poor, it fucks your shit up royally.
Oh, yeah.
When you have tools or a computer or an instrument or something like that and you're fucking poor, your world is rocked, like big time. When you have money and they steal a fucking jigsaw or a laptop or whatever,
annoying.
Yeah, it's sort of the difference between what a $79 parking ticket is to when you're strapped to when you're Seth Rogen, you get a $79. Just fucking laugh it off. I can just keep walking.
I had a panic attack trying to run to my car so I wouldn't get a parking ticket.
Right.
Like it was super embarrassing because we would park when I worked in Pasadena. We would just park on the street, and I saw the guy pulling up to my car, and I just sprinted I literally had a panic attack.
In
It's
LA,
so sad.
That's a day's pay.
If your car's parked like on street cleaning side, you're like, oh my God, I gotta get up at 8 in the morning and move. And nowadays, like if it's street cleaning, great, someplace for me to park.
Right.
It's gonna cost $50, but whatever.
Yeah. So this started a Twitter war.
Yeah, well, it just so people started like spelling Seth Rogen's name as Joe Rogan's last name, like Seth Rogen, and just comparing them to, and now they're putting them both into the pot. Like, man, both these guys suck. So it's just
Joe Rogan's like, what did I do?
everyone just like really upset. That's how Seth would
Well,
respond.
I know Joe got his horse broken into the other day. You don't leave valuables in your saddlebag.
that's his-
Seth says that's on Joe.
Yeah, you don't consider your horse an extension
You're in a
of
big
yourself.
city. Come on. With
It
your
is.
horse.
It's not an extension of yourself when you have money and you're leasing a car and you're fully insured and all that kind of shit. When you're poor and you get your wind wing punched in and you have to repair it with foil and live with it, like when I'm driving my pickup truck and they pulled out my ignition, you know, you couldn't, like when you're poor, you can't go to the dealer for any parts because the dealer's crazy markup. That's stadium prices for beer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You have to go.
It's airport
You gotta
prices
know a
for
guy.
You got to go to
luggage
the
and-
Costco and
Right.
you got to drink out in the parking lot. And so you'd go to Pick Apart in Sun Valley and you pull some alternator off some other Nissan truck that didn't have any miles on it or whatever. It was always somebody died in this car. You'd
Right.
see the driver's side door just caved in, a little blood on the
Jesus.
steering wheel. And you'd be like, all right, but he would have wanted me to have his alternator. So you'd have to go to like Pep Boys and get rebuilt shit, or you'd have to go to Pick Apart and pull something off. Like you'd have to show up with your own tools, you know, and the guy would let you go back there. You'd find your car, the one that was equivalent to yours, and like pull a water pump or something off it. But you
my
couldn't
uncle
go to.
my uncle who loved cars and recommended the Trico blades. His dream was to spend all day at Pick Apart. He loved it.
He was quite a conversationalist as well.
If I needed anything on my car, he's like, I'll get that for you. I'll be back in 2 days.
My dad was just, oh no, wait a minute. So then if you had to get something from the dealer, now the whole thing about the ignition is that was like a dealer item. You couldn't go to Pep Boys
Right.
and find it. It was a dealer item and it was like $239, which I definitely didn't have. So I just start my car with a screwdriver. You could just get a flathead screwdriver, poke it in, and turn it like you're in a heist movie or something. And it worked. But when you're fucking poor, that car is an extension of you. And when they fuck it up, it fucks you up.
Well, a lot more people seem to agree with you, Adam, especially on Twitter over the weekend. And and this speaking of smash and grabs and things like that, this video has been making the round again. It's from May of last year, but it's been getting a lot more views like today and yesterday. And so looters getting looted by
Right.
other looters.
Yeah,
It's on, man.
shot of someone trying to leave with some stuff and a bunch of other looters
Yeah.
Looting.
converging on them. Yeah. Well, why go all the way into the store if you can just sort of loot out in the parking lot?
Well, it's like you say, criminals are lazy, and this is the bottom of the barrel. You
Yeah.
are waiting for the robber to come out with the stuff he robbed so you can rob him.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have to start like watermarking everything or putting dye packs on everything over $100,
Right.
or we're gonna have to track this shit as it pops up on eBay and starts getting sold online and stuff like that. I mean, no one is, like I would say about my truck stereo that I painted brown, no one's stealing it to listen to music. They're stealing it to fence
Right.
it and get drugs. So all the stuff that's being looted is pretty much getting pushed out, fenced somewhere and sold.
eBay'd.
Yeah.
I wonder now if it's a little more organized and now they're having rings, you know?
Well, yeah, when 15 cars pull up in front of Macy's or whatever, or, you know.
Look at this. I got a video of this place called Prime.
It must be leaving the country now.
Mm.
Because I
yeah.
think the local looting was local looting before. But if you're going to be organized about it, I think the shit's got to get to Mexico or somewhere where
buy
you
it.
can safely get your money back for it. I feel that the organization part always says, and it'd be kind of refreshing for us to bring contraband into Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're bringing
It's a new
something back,
day.
right back at
Taste of
you.
your own.
Yeah.
This is a shop in Oakland, a shoe and hat shop, and just watch like this. This is what a surveillance video of them getting
wow.
looted. Look at
Wow.
this.
Clown car.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they
There's
just got
what, 30
everything.
dudes?
They're still coming.
There's exactly, clown car.
It has the.
They're still coming.
It has that thing of when you see mice scurry.
Yes.
Like when they're leaving a sinking ship
They're
or
still
something,
coming
they
in.
just keep plowing in. I would.
There's at least 30 dudes.
Yeah.
Sadly,
easily.
I would think long and hard about what business I was running as it pertained to potential looting.
Yeah.
A lot
Now-
of shoe stores in the Bay Area are getting hit.
Right. Would you open a shoe store in a very progressive blue place, like right in the middle with a DA that was kind of soft on whatever and a defund the police?
It's not
kind
a
of thing?
crime
Like,
if it's less than $1,000.
yeah, I don't think I'd open a sneaker shop or a hat shop or something.
Yeah, it's something you sadly you have to think about now.
Well, and I don't want to profile, but let's see. Like you said, this is a sneaker shop. You think it's a lot of like middle-aged women, or you think it's a lot of just chicks at all, or
No, this is
dads, or
all-
what are we talking about here?
I think this is all dudes.
oh, okay.
Speaking of dads, I think about Christy's dad's power tool
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Thankfully, it's
board that up.
a little off the beaten path, but it's Boulevard. Boulevard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which shop?
That goes all the way up to the valley. And
Bought a palm nailer there in 1991, man.
the plaque is still there.
I know, I put it
The
up.
dollar is in
On
a
this
frame.
date.
Other than your cars, have you guys ever been robbed in any way?
Thankfully, just car.
Yeah, me
A
too.
few times, unfortunately.
I was when I was working on my first house in Hollywood Hills. Somebody broke in, stole some tools, and took a shit in the bathtub.
That was Ray.
That part or Ray could have taken a shit in the bathtub
It's
on
calling
Friday
card.
afternoon before he
Right.
knocked off, and then on Saturday they broke
This
in.
poor guy gets in trouble
You
for
will
it.
get your tools stolen. You always get your tools stolen. We got 'em, the Adam Carolla project. We got our tools stolen. You'll always get tools stolen,
Yeah.
and it's a fucking backbreaker because getting items stolen in general is a bummer. But when your tools get stolen, you can't go to work.
Right.
You cannot show up Monday without tools. I don't know if people really know this, but carpenters have their own tools, need their own tools, and work with their own
Right.
tools.
Yeah.
So when they swipe them, you're fucked. Well, I got my, I guess I've had a lot of tools stolen. I had tools stolen when I was working at Bodies in Motion. The Zuzu Trooper got busted into. I got tools stolen from the Adam Carolla project, but I had money by then, so I didn't care. I got tools stolen from the house when I was working on my first house in Hollywoodland. And I got famously my fucking Porter Cable door planer, my big ticket $400 item stolen from my fucking grandma's shed. The problem with being poor is it's the same with parking. I used to get parking tickets all the time because you can't afford to pay for the
Right.
parking
Right.
and you park down the street
And it keeps
fucking
compounding.
whatever. You have money, you have a fucking garage and a clicker. Like you don't park on the street and you have a parking space at work and all that kind of stuff. When you're poor, you have to constantly try to maneuver around where you're going to park. And
Dude, remember K-Rock in Burbank?
yes,
It was the high rise surrounded by other high rises. There were, and across the street was the freight overpass. Nowhere to park.
Right.
I mean, you know, a couple of spots on the street, but they'd be half the time. It'd be street cleaning.
and then you get shit
1
broken
hour
into.
parking.
Yeah, my Porter Cable door planer was stolen from my grandmother's house by a fucking homeless guy she let in to rake leaves, and it had a beautiful metal silver case that it was in, and I had a door hanging job, and when you hang doors, you need a door planer. Do not let anyone fool you with, I'll get the circular saw and trim the side of it. That's bullshit. Bush league, as
I was just
DFG
gonna
would
say,
say.
yeah.
Do not. You fucking need a real door planer. You got to put a bevel on it because doors have a bevel on the strike side, the knob side. And if you're good, you put a bevel on the hinge side too, so it doesn't pinch. You need a good door planer. And I was like, I'm poor shit, but I hang doors for a living and I need a good door planer. And I bought this $375. I mean, at the time, all the money in the world. And I lived in an apartment, so I didn't have any place to keep anything.
Yeah.
This is part of the poor person thing. And I kept it. My grandparents, they had like a shed garage thing or something, but it was inside the house. I mean, it was on the property. And she let some motherfucker rake leaves. And I went in there to get it because I had a door job. And I picked up the case, which was brand new, and I could feel how light it was. And I was like, oh,
you knew.
I started to lift it. My arm went to the ceiling. I was like, fuck. And
It got stronger.
I opened it up, and I was like, fucking gone. And I was like, then you're mad, like, did I lend it to a buddy? Did one of my buddies, something, it starts dawning on you. And then my grandmother's like, well, I let Keyless Chuck in to rake some leaves.
When grandma's partially culpable, does she offer it all to be able to pitch in $50 for the next one?
Would a grandmother do that?
When this
Of
grandma,
course. Oh, my grandmother?
the specific grandma,
No fucking way. Not on your life. Like, I literally said to my grandmother, I was like, oh, man, like, what happened? What happened? And then she's like, Oh, there is a guy who just kind of wanders around, drinking out of a bag. He wanted to, he needed $3 or something. So I told him, come in and, rake the leaves.
did a lot better than that day.
And so she was like, he must have stolen. He must have taken it.
Mystery
too.
solved.
Anyway,
Goodbye.
He took it.
What
and
are you
then
gonna do?
I did what I've tried with my family on probably 26 times in my life, where I went, wow, man, that's tough because, I make my living with that. I got a job coming up where I'm swinging doors, and man, I can't do it without that tool. But
It's gonna be rough.
I don't have enough money to go buy a new one. But how can I get the money if I don't have the tool? My grandma's like, yeah, well, shit happens, man.
Yeah.
Boy.
But I hearken back to the conversation with my mom about having warrants and the motorcycle and it needing to pay off the warrants. And she's like, take Valley Hard. It runs parallel to Ventura Boulevard. They're fucking horrible people. I mean, that's fucking horrible. I couldn't have met, first off, if Sonny had a tool that he used as an adult, I would break down in tears. I would weep openly, number one. And then number two, if I was responsible, basically, partially for letting the person in and games on. By the way, they had money, they had the retirement and
Right.
account and everything.
Took it
And
for a couple of
I was just
bucks.
fucking living fucking hand to mouth the whole time. She just looked at me and went, nah.
I think
We're
your
done here.
grandmother and I are the full spectrum of boundaries because I need to be more like her, but not that much like her. And for her to just look at you and go, yeah, what are you going to do? I would dream to do that to someone when I felt like my boundaries were being infringed on, but not that far.
Compare that to my dad, who we went on a family trip. Well, I remember summer of 2000. I remember the CD book. You put all, you don't want to travel with 1,000 jewel cases. You put all your CDs in the book. And I rented a car. I was in the back seat, my brother in the back seat, put my CD book in the back pocket of the seat behind my dad driving, and got to the hotel, checked in, blah, blah, blah. Unbeknownst to us, he decided the car wasn't big enough and went to take it upon himself to return it the next morning before we woke up. Come to find out, he's like, all right, turn the car. I'm like, did you take my CD booklet out? Your CD booklet was in there? Yes, it was, Dad. So, of course, called the airport car return place. Guess what? They hadn't found it. No one returned it.
But you heard Oasis in the background.
That's right, rocking out.
Damn
So,
it.
yeah, exactly. So
That
I
ain't
knew it was
Muzak.
And my dad, the honorable guy that he was, he goes, all right, listen, that's kind of on me. It's kind of on you. It's kind of on me. We'll go down to Rasputin Records in Berkeley, California, Dawson, and I'll buy your CDs used. You know what I mean? I'll buy you used copies, but it'll be good enough.
Yeah,
yours were used.
My
Exactly.
grandmother was a fucking witch because, and also I wasn't like, hey, Grandma, could I have $200? I'd get some fentanyl laced tablets or
Just to
something.
keep you
I was
straight.
I was trying to buy a fucking tool
That she had stolen.
that I needed to survive. That she aided in the stealing of, and she didn't even fucking blink. Like, I thought I was going to give her this hard luck pitch, and she was going to go kind of like Brian's dad. Like, she was going to go, yeah, I
Let's see what we can
felt,
do.
Kind of on me.
what's the tool cost? Okay, why don't you put me down for half? No such fucking luck whatsoever. Zero.
Impressive.
I know.
Sad.
I know.
Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen. He's been on the show a few times.
What happened?
Yeah, Caitlin's taking pictures with Seth Rogen, like when he was in here, and I guess he came in when Caitlin worked at the Coffee Bean.
Oh my God, that's Kaylin.
I didn't know it was possible for Kaylin to look younger.
And prettier.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, anyway, Seth.
She's gorgeous.